Sri Devendra Fadnavis, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Sri Sharad Pawarji, one of the senior leaders of the country and who has got his heart in agriculture, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, father of agriculture revolution in India, Sri Vaddi Shobhanadreswar Rao, former minister and also an expert in agriculture sector, Sri Patnaik, Secretary Agriculture, Government of India, Professor Ashok Gulati, renewed agriculture expert, Sri J.P. Misra, Niti Ayog, senior functionary who has been deputed, Sri K.K. Tripathi, Director of this institute, Vaikund Mehta, National Institute of Cooperative Management, and Sri Chatterjee from Indian Institute of Public Administration, and Mr. Subbarao, who is coordinating this program, who happens to be Secretary to Vice President of India. And participants in this two-day conclave, friends, brothers and sisters, I am really happy to be addressed to you all today because this is an initiative taken by me. This is not part of the Vice President's so-called protocol responsibility, but as a citizen and also as a constitutional functionary, I thought we should have a national level consultation on various challenges faced by the country, non-partisan, non-political, practical suggestions and discussions will be useful for the nation. Keeping that in mind, I have taken initiative to have a national consultation on various issues. Friends, as Swaminathan ji will not be able to sit for long, so I thought I should speak in his presence, but after a gap of tea break, the session will continue and myself and the CM Maharashtra and Sharad ji and others will be sitting among the audience to hear the other experts who are going to speak in the second part of this session, because that is very much necessary. Even for us also we must learn. I always believe all people, the policy makers, the politicians, the others, they should all learn. And it's a lifelong experience. I always say learn, not yearn. That should be the motto of everybody in public life. So we will also hear the speeches of the other experts who are going to speak later. I want to make certain points. I have a little agriculture background. I am son of a farmer, did farming in the early ages of my public life. Later, now I have gone into politics. Now, of course, I am retired from politics, but not tired from public life. That's why I am taking this initiative. We have made significant progress over the years. There is no doubt about it. From a food-deficient country at the time of our independence, we have become self-sufficient in food grains. As FAO said, from 50 million tons in 1950, India's food grain production rose more than 5 times to over 257 million tons in 14 and 15. India is the world's largest milk producer, producing over 130 million tons annually. The dairy sector also is one of the largest employers of the rural people, especially women. With an annual production of over 10 million tons, India ranks second in global fish production and aquaculture, next only to China. The challenges today are mainly twofold. First is to make agriculture sustainable through a judicious use of scarce resources like water, electricity, as well as protect the soil by avoiding indiscriminate use of chemical fertilizer and pesticides. A lot of people are leaving agriculture. The agriculture community also, I see the discussion in the village. You see what is happening in the society. A doctor wants his son to be a doctor. An actor wants his son to be an actor, even if his face is not good also. A teacher wants his son to be a teacher. And a businessman wants his son to be promoted as a businessman. But no farmer is willing to promote his son as a farmer. This is a major challenge. People are leaving agriculture slowly and shifting away to other avocations because agriculture is not remunerative. That is the basic point. Second is to make agriculture more profitable so that existing farmers lead a better quality of life and more young people get attracted to this profession. It's a big challenge, getting young people attracted to this profession. This is one of the issues that we all need to ponder over this. Water scarcity and falling water tables have been a key concern in recent years. Niti Ayog's recent analysis of water use and ranking of states on a composite water management index highlights the need to adopt agricultural practices that make optimum use of water. Although successive governments have accorded priority to agriculture right from independence, the sector continues to face problems. Why problems? Challenges. It is time for all of us to get our act together. The Parliament, the political parties, press, policy makers, and Planning Commission, now Niti Ayog, all the P's. They have focused on agriculture, but I feel this is the feeling of the people in the rural side that enough attention, required attention, is not paid adequately. Attention has been paid, but required. After independence, the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji, gave two advices. The first advice is political. I don't want to talk about it. The second advice is, he said, back to villages. But unfortunately, our planners and readers have shown most of them have back to villages and moved towards towns. That's where this problem has started. We have not heeded his advice. That's why we are facing the present problem. As all of you are aware, the Prime Minister has called for doubling farmers' income by 2022. Although both centre and various state governments, led by various parties, are taking several initiatives to boost agricultural growth, we have to critically examine if there are any policy changes or programmatic improvements that can make them more effective. Let us do some prudent thinking, apply our minds and offer solutions to improve the lot of farmers who are the backbone of our economy. It is obvious that a concerted, coordinated, focused action is required on a number of issues that impact the growth of agriculture sector and the quality of our life of the people who depend primarily on this sector. We cannot be complacent about the food security situation as it exists today. The growing needs of our country's increasing population require our own homegrown food security strategy as suggested by eminent scientist and father of Green Revolution, Professor M.S. Swaminathan. You cannot survive on imported food security. You need to develop homegrown food security. That is one lesson we have to keep in mind and plan accordingly. Firstly, the 4 I's, namely 1, irrigation, 2, infrastructure, 3, investment, 4, insurance. These 4 I's are very, very important in order to make agriculture sustainable and attractive. Second, land to lab. Lab to land. Research is going on. ICAR is doing a good job. A lot of other institutions also. But unless the lab to land transfer of technology to the people is enhanced, you will not get the desired result. Third, strengthening of the marketing system. That's where one of the major problems lies today. You have production, sometimes increased production. You have other policies, but marketing very, very weak. I'll just give you a small example. Tomatoes in my area, Madanapalli, are sold at 1 rupee a kg. Within 120 kilometers in Bangalore, they are sold at 8 to 10 rupees. Next day I come from Bangalore I've been MP from Bangalore, I have the experience. I fly from Bangalore to Delhi next day and I ask my wife, what is the rate of tomato in Delhi? She says 15 rupees to 20 rupees. So production, 1 rupee. And then you are purchasing the same tomato at 15 rupees. Same is the case with regard to onion. In Nasik, during the season, the onion price goes down. And the same onion is sold at a higher price in Delhi. I remember one of the governments have been lost on account of onion crisis. So we should learn, and the message is very simple. We have to take care of this marketing system. Given the small size of land holdings, it is imperative that we should enhance our productivity and focus on intensification. Increased productivity is possible if farmers have greater access to knowledge, technology, and credit. We have to innovate new ideas, new methods, new technologies, and we have to learn from the experience of others, and we must follow best practices, and they must be disseminated to the lower level people. We have to innovate, we have to work with farmers to infuse knowledge and technology. Knowledge sharing and encouraging adoption of new technologies is an integral and key part of this ecosystem. However, the most important aspect is the effective transfer of the transformative technologies to the farmers. The farmers has to be given to the latest know-how and trained in the do-how, as well as to improve the farm productivity. We need to bring a major shift in India agriculture, moving it from a low productivity stage to a high productivity level, and at the same time ensure that it is sustainable and equitable. At the same time, diversification of crops must also be promoted. Farmers should be encouraged to cultivate high-value crops like fruits, vegetables, condiments, pulses, spices, and sugar cane. That will create wealth, that will also cure our health problems also. Along with increased production, we need efficient distribution of food grains. Only then can we move our country forward to achieve the goal of zero hunger and adequate nutrition for all. Along with diversification, we need value addition. Scientists must work with the government's extension machinery like Krishi Vijnana Kendra to advise the farmers on the cropping pattern of that area and post-harvest processes and food processing technologies. The Baramati KVK, under the able stewardship of Pawarji, later his other people, have done a commendable work. So I would like to see myself tomorrow. That's why I'm visiting that place also. The Prime Minister also, who has visited that, he told me that he was so much impressed by the good work done by the KVK in Baramati. The government is rightly focusing on developing rural roads, supplying reliable power, establishing godowns, cold storage facilities, and refrigerated vans and market yards. These are the areas of the infrastructure we need to invest more, we need to focus more. We are talking of smart cities, we are talking of these national highways, we are talking of high-tech, we must take care of the low-tech that is there in the rural areas. This urban-rural divide is another major challenge before the country. So governments, whichever party they are, they should focus on bridging this gap and taking care of the connectivity in the rural areas also. Often I hear people always talk of free power. I have a different view. Free power is no substitute. Free power is very popular. Free power means first low power, then no power. No power is free power only. What the farmers want is assured power, quality power. You must be able to give them 12 hours of power. That will really solve their problems. These populistic programs are not going to be the lasting solution. When I spoke about the same once in Mumbai, I remember in the presence of the Maharashtra Chief Minister, I was expecting some media people will highlight that. And then next day I saw Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, Union Minister, is against free power. Is against free power. When the power is not there, it's free power only, na? My point is give them full power, assured power, quality power, and then charge. People will pay. That was the Gujarat experience also I have seen. See, friends, the also insurance schemes like Kisan Credit Card, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bhima Yojana are steps in the right direction, but they need to be strengthened further. Timely financial credit facilities at reasonable interest rates and farmer-friendly insurance policies are vital to boost agriculture growth. The budget we saw when Sharadji was there, it has been enhanced to 8,000 crores to 9,000 crores, and then subsequently now it has been enhanced to 11,000 crores. But still there is demand because it's a huge sector and people do not have their own resources to invest, to purchase inputs and also to take care of the agriculture operations sincerely. So they depend on Shahukars and Mahajans and other people, and they borrow at a higher rate, and then as soon as the harvesting is over, those people, as if they are your well-wishers, they will be waiting behind you, asking when the cutting is going to take place, when the harvesting is taking place. As you don't have a go-down also, you also tend to sell it at a distressed rate and then repay the loan. If the institutional credit is increased and affordable, timely credit is given, that will go a long way. So we, governments at the center and the state and other institutions should focus on that also. Forecasting the seasonal conditions in advance, testing the soil and ensuring water availability will also go a long way in mitigating the problems for the farmers. Selling agriculture produce and getting a fair return is a big challenge to most of the farmers. The farmers still rely on local markets and have to resort very often to distress sale. Reliable real-time information is the key. E-NAM implementation needs to be further streamlined and expedited. Now I think as a trial 46 or 64?
No, sir, 585.
585. But you have a huge network. You need to extend it across the country at the earliest. I'm happy the government is focusing on that. The Agriculture Produce Market Committees, APMCs Act, need to be amended by introducing single point levy of market fee across the state and unified single trading license also. Forecasting the seasonal conditions in advance, testing the soil, as I said, are equally important. So the Meteorological Department of the Government of India must do is doing a good job, but they must do a better job. And we must disseminate that information. Now that cell phone is available everywhere in every place, so we can disseminate the information easily, but that should be done in local language. We must enable farmers to export the produce for getting better returns. In many of our policies, consumers are, please hear this with all seriousness. In many of our policies, consumers are given more importance because they are large numbers, they are organized, they are vocal. The farmers concerned should not be ignored. They are also large in numbers, but they are not organized. They are not vocal. Sometimes they are silent. And when the frustration goes, it becomes violent. We have seen also. But I feel that agriculture and industry both are vital and important. But at the same time, agriculture has to be given due priority for the simple reason 54% of the population of India are still thriving on agriculture. So keeping this in mind, how do you balance the interest of the consumer and producer? Because I was there in government for some time. Whenever there is some little increase in the price of any produce, immediately Cabinet Committee on Consumer Affairs is called, Finance Minister, I was also a member, and then we think what to do. People will become unhappy, and then political parties will highlight this, price rise, anti-people, this, that and all, naturally. And then we think in terms of importing also. And then by that time, and then we advise that pulses has to be grown more, and the government in the recent days have given incentives, including a heavy subsidy for millets and pulses. And the people have gone for extended cultivation of this, and production has gone up, the price has come down. So this is another area where we need to find out practical solution, where our export and import policies has to be revisited in the proper perspective of protecting both the interest of the people, both the poor people as well as the farming community who is thriving on that. Sometimes people ask a question. I have not found any answer. Even Sharad Pawarji or even Swaminathanji, others, if they can advise me also, I'll be more than happy. People are asking, sir, this person who prepares the mic, he can sell it here and sell it in Mysore. And he can price it. But why farmer is not able to fix his own price? There is no solution because this is an industrial product and this is an agriculture product, and then it is perishable also. And then there are other problems also. And then, as I told you, consumer interest, because this is what you call daily consumable item connected with the livelihood. But at the same time, should the farmer pay only because this is an essential commodity? Why should he not also get the reasonable and remunerative price and government take care of the interest of the consumers? Is it possible? Is it feasible? Very easy to say. Those thoughts also come to me. But practically, to what extent we'll be able to address this issue, that also has to be analyzed. There are two conflicting interests in practical terms. This is a major challenge. We have to find answers to this. Loan waivers are not a permanent solution. At best, they may be temporary solution. You waive the loan, okay, fine. What about the next Rabi? You waive the Rabi loan, then what about Kharif? Then you waive Kharif and Rabi, then what about the next crop? Because the agriculture depends on vagaries of monsoon and also at the mercy of the market manipulations or machinations, whatever you call. So this can be a temporary relief to come out of distress. But the permanent solution is providing remunerative price, providing the reasonable infrastructure. If you provide infrastructure, if you provide cold storage, if you provide refrigerator vans, if you provide proper insurance, if you provide go-downs, if you provide timely, affordable credit, I don't think any farmer will ask for loan waiver. Farmers are the last people to ask for loan waiver because they have self-respect. Self-respect. They try to pay on time unless they are in distress. The Maharashtra CM was telling the other day, in Maharashtra, in spite of all this loan waiver, 71% of the people paid their loans earlier on time, in earlier occasions. That means they have self-respect. We have borrowed money, we must pay back. Distress as forcing them to ask for this. So keeping that in mind, we should think in terms of, that's why I thought of this sustainable agriculture, profitable agriculture, viable agriculture. What are the ways and means? As I told you, I am very clear with all my experience in public life that loan waivers are no permanent solutions. As huge population is dependent on agriculture for livelihood, increase the income and the purchasing power of this group is also extremely important. Because this is a large sector, again, purchasing power of these sections, unless it increases, your economy also will get affected. Friends, so the major challenge is to make agriculture economically viable. Solution lies in identifying the gaps in policy formulation, if any. We should also make our policies more pro-farmer. Secondly, we should streamline implementation process, keeping the end consumer, the farmer, always in view. Another important aspect is to encourage farmers to take up allied activities like poultry, dairy, fisheries, and aquaculture, which can not only enhance farmers' income, but also cushion them against the adverse impact of failed crop season. I was just sharing with Sharad Pawarji about a study made by one institute in Hyderabad, Agriculture Institute by Government of India, Manage. They have studied different suicide cases of the farmers. And they found out of 3,500 cases they have verified, no farmer who is having a backyard poultry or a dairy has committed suicide. So there is a lesson for us. The allied activities need to be encouraged. I mean, Pune is a big poultry center. And also were next to Gujarat, the dairy movement that has really caught up and brought a revolution. These things used to be there earlier, during our earlier days. Slowly we have cattle wealth is national wealth. This is what our elders used to say. But we have neglected that also. We must again take up this goat rearing, sheep rearing. We must also go for minor forestry and other things, so that these things will act as a cushion against the adverse impact of failed crops season. As I hail from an agriculture family and I have some personal experience of the distress faced by the farmers, I am eager that we should find some practical solutions to their current problems. We have a number of success stories of farmers who have doubled their incomes. These were showcased in the Prime Minister's interaction with the farmers yesterday. The question is how do we draw lessons from these excellent experiments and reform our governance pattern and implement a transformative agenda effectively across the country. I hope this two-day national consultation we get some meaningful and practical solutions to improve the farming sector. We also need to come out with suggestions to fine-tune existing policies and programs to enhance the income of the farmers. I am happy that senior leaders like Sri Sharad Pawarji, along with the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Sri Shobhana Adresarao, who are all passionate about the welfare of the farmers, are with us today. I am glad that we have in our midst Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, whom I admire, respect, the father of Indian Green Revolution, and also renowned thinkers like Professor Gulati, and a number of eminent vice-chancellors, agriculture scientists, economists, researchers and policy makers, as well as some representatives of the farmers also. I think it is appropriate that we are meeting here in this institute that fosters cooperative effort. Vaikunthal Mehta, who was a pioneer in the cooperative movement, Saratji was telling me about his background, that Gandhiji has told him to focus on cooperative sector, and then he has devoted his entire life for development of the cooperative sector and established the sugar factories and all. So I hope that we'll have a meaningful time, a very constructive debate. Friends, I would like to tell only one thing, that before I conclude. You will not be able to find solution to the challenge of blaming each other. This party blaming that party blaming this party. Fortunately, every party has ruled center for some time or other. And most of the parties are ruling in different parts of the country. If not now, earlier also. So simply pinpointing and that politics will go on. I can't stop it simply because I have come out of politics. I can't blame them. But people should focus their attention. What is the practical suggestion that is being given? Simply asking for write-off of everything is not going to solve the problems. Or making such suggestions which are not practical. What is the state of economy? What has been the experience of these institutions? What has been the mindset of the farming community? How do you transform the mindset? These things need to be addressed. And we should ponder answers to these challenges. Changing the mindset is a very important aspect, because in a villages, if one farmer goes to a particular thing, everybody goes for the same. Chili price goes down, then everybody goes to cotton. Price goes down, then leave cotton, enter into something else. They should have the latest market trends available to them. And then future also, what is going to likely happen, there should be proper guidance to them also. I come from a cotton, tobacco belt. I experienced, before the crop starts, the big company people, they influence, and there will be stories in the media. This time there is going to be shortage in international market, so there is going to be huge demand for tobacco. And every farmers will come to tobacco board meeting and press, sir, we must allow more acreage this time, because international demand is there. And that country, this country, everything has gone down. Production has gone down. There is going to be a demand from Russia, from this country, that country, and all. The moment the harvesting season comes, then you find items in the newspapers. There is bumper production. Prices likely to fall. No chance of export. Then gone. Why this is happening? The media also has an important role. Unfortunately, the media is not paying enough attention towards agriculture sector, which is more than 50%, because they are not vocal, they are not organized. This is not a complaint against this paper or that paper. Some of the newspapers are doing a great job. But it is a duty of the newspaper also to pass on the information with confirmation, the right research to the people. Because that is the way of media of communication. In spite of so many extension centers by Government of India and state government, still we are not able to reach each and every farmer. I have been suggesting to various universities, I have been going around various universities, and I have been going to various ICAR research centers, also interacting with the scientists, finding out what is happening and suggesting to them what is the expectation among the people, although I am trying to enhance my knowledge then. But in spite of all this, at the end of the day, media should play a more constructive role in passing on the right information, right time to the people by paying enough attention to their problems and highlighting their problems also. Any small thing happening in a city, you find headline. But anything happening major in a village is only a deadline. No line at all. I remember when I became parliament member, in my enthusiasm, I came to parliament prepared and then gave a speech for 52 minutes. Afterwards, Sharadji and then Swaminathanji, other people, different party people, they complimented me also. Next day, to my disappointment, I found no mention in any of the newspapers about the speech. And only one newspaper, this reporter is here, Parsi Gargi. One reporter, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu spoke comprehensively, elaborately on agriculture sector. Like that, they some report. It's an injustice. It's not doing our duty properly. This is the grouse of the people in the rural area, that their problems are not adequately focused. Small issues concerning the urban. I am not against urban sector. I am also living now in urban areas. Like everybody migrated. Earlier I was rural development minister. Then I migrated to urban development ministry also. You can't reverse this urbanization. But take care of the people who are there, who are helpless, who are not heard. That is what is required. I appeal to the media, not only to hear, for the entire media. See, if there had been a political meeting, where Venkaiah Naidu as a politician earlier, and Sharad Pawarji, and then Devendra and other people are meeting, there would have been a mad rush of television channels, full in this Vaikundal Mehta's institute. This is agriculture. Agriculture has no glamour, but they should understand it has got grammar. It gives you food. Without food, you cannot be good. You will be out. There is no doubt. So keeping that in mind, the media also should focus enough attention. Friends, we are also celebrating International Yoga Day today. In this celebration, we are also celebrating India's holistic perspective and ability to perceive life as an integrated whole, combining the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects. Yoga teaches us to focus and concentrate. So let us also focus and concentrate on agriculture. We need to have some bias towards agriculture, positive bias, because that has been long neglected. This is what I hope that the different organizations will be able to do it, including the governments and political parties. I also would like to compliment the organizations like CIA, Confederation of Indian Industry, FICCI, and other government and academia institutions who are all joining together for this national consultation. I hope that we'll have better and meaningful consultations in this two-day session. The Minister of Agriculture has assured me that enough attention will be given to these recommendations. You heard Maharashtra CM also. This is a national consultation. After this will be placed before the nation, and also it will be placed before the government and the governments also, and also copies will be sent to different political parties and other institutions. Thank you very much. Namaskar. We will be tea break, then we will be sitting there. Speakers will be speaking. No, we will also be sitting in the audience and hear the speakers, so that it will be more interesting.